My wife is destroying our marriage because she refuses to stop smoking pot. My wife is 26 and I am 28. We have been together for 5 years. We have a 1-year-old daughter. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. We are currently living in Canada. During the election period and since the new PM was elected, my wife has become obsessed with weed. Prior to this, she hadn't smoked it in years since she graduated. So I find this obsession a little strange. I have no problem with people smoking weed. It's not something I was ever seriously into, but she acts like a giddy 14-year-old girl when she's high. She is completely obnoxious. The plan to only smoke when our daughter is with a babysitter has gone out the window, and now she smokes a joint the second I get home from work. I have told her not to, but she tells me she is depressed, and it is the only thing that helps. I've told her to go to a doctor or therapist, but she refuses to because she doesn't have it in her, meaning she is too anxious, but she could get help for that too if she just saw someone. Plus, she likes it because it's natural. I'm not really in a position to say whether or not she actually has mental health problems, but with the way she has been acting, I wouldn't be surprised if she's making it up as an excuse to smoke weed. Prior to this, she never mentioned any mental health issues. I've made it perfectly clear she cannot be high while she is caring for our daughter, and I'm not certain, but I believe she is also smoking when our daughter takes her morning nap and lying to me about it. My job requires a very high security clearance. In obtaining it, they looked at the criminal records and online records for me, my friends and my family, including people I was friends with way back in high school, so I would expect that they continue to keep tabs on my immediate family. If my wife was caught buying marijuana, I would definitely lose my job, and it would be almost impossible to find another one in the same field. This weekend, we got into a huge fight about it. My wife, daughter, and I were invited to a well-renowned family event outside of Canada through my work. I told her she is not bringing pot across the border and she is not buying it there. We are meeting with a few people I regularly do work with, and she would either be with me and my daughter or caring for our daughter all weekend. So there is no appropriate time for her to get high. She has refused to go if I don't let her smoke weed, and told me that if I were to bring my daughter without her, she would call the police and say I kidnapped her. I really don't want to miss this event. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us, and a lot of strings were pulled to get our invitation, so it would be very embarrassing to back out at this point. Relevant comments. What happens if she tries to sneak weed over the border without telling you and you get caught? What happens to your child? What happens if you lose your clearance and your job? Your wife is a stay-at-home pothead. I don't think she will be able to provide quite as well. What happens if your wife actually follows through with her plans to destroy you? What will happen to your child? It's no longer about just you. I hadn't even thought of that. It's crazy to me how she threatened to destroy everything we've built together just to win this argument. My daughter and I have dual citizenship, but my wife does not. All of my family is in the US, so it would be a huge issue if she couldn't cross anymore. She has refused to go if I don't let her smoke weed, and told me that if I were to bring my daughter without her, she would call the police and say I kidnapped her. Holy shit, Mom. Way to take it from 0 to 60 fast. I was going to say you should really push her for therapy, but then she went and said something like this. I don't know, man. You need to either get her in a room with a professional or you need to get a lawyer now, because this woman has endangered your child and your career just because she's too anxious to get professional help. Unfortunately, it's not unlike her to threaten stuff like that. It hasn't happened much since we got married, but before then, if she didn't get her way with something, she would threaten to leave and take the dogs, and I pay for everything for them, did all the training, and am the only one who walks them, and when I tell her they aren't her to take, she threatens to call the cops. Update: 23 days after the first post. Did some investigating after I posted and found out she was basically high 24/7. I know people say weed isn't addictive, or it's not that bad because it's natural, but I decided to leave her because of it anyways. I notified my work of everything, and they said it wouldn't affect my clearance as long as I act now, so that's what I'm doing. She was also lying to me about what her and my daughter do all day long. She would tell me they went to the library or pool, but really, she was just smoking weed and napping all day long without taking any safety precautions for my daughter. The whole situation has me fuming. I'm really glad I bought some cameras since the evidence will be helpful during the divorce, and she threatened all kinds of insane shit that would get me arrested and fired, but since I have it on film, I should be okay. I won't get into the divorce details too much because it's very complicated, but my wife agreed to give up all custody for now. I know this will likely change when the divorce is finalized, but I think it sets a precedent that will help me in the long run. She's made everything so easy. It really makes me think she wanted this all along, but she denies it, so who knows? I can't wrap my mind around her not wanting any custody of our kid. I should probably feel happy, but I can't stop thinking that when my daughter's old enough, she's going to figure out that her mom couldn't be bothered to fight to get custody of her. For anyone wondering, I took my daughter to the event in the US last weekend and we had a great time. My wife, ex-wife I guess, didn't follow through with her plan of reporting my daughter missing. I'm really nervous about having the nanny I hired live with me, but I'm sure it will be fine. She has a lot of experience and her references were great, so I'm mostly just worried about learning to live with someone who isn't my wife. Relevant comments. I remember your post. You've done the right thing since she's unwilling to get help for this problem. Thanks. I hope it was the right choice. It's too bad that it came to this, but with my work, I didn't really have any other options. It was the right choice because it was your only choice at this point. Your daughter needs at least one stable parent, which means it's imperative that you not endanger your job. Let's hope that your ex can get herself together a little bit and start being a parent again. Do not believe all the threats and lies she is going to start spewing. That was my husband's problem with his ex. He really believed that he would not have a chance in court because moms always win. Well, karma does happen, and years later a judge put her in her place and said in not so many words she is a terrible parent. Stay strong. You got this. I think I covered my ass pretty well for any possible threats. She made a bunch, but they're all on film, and I was careful to deny each one, which she agreed with but said, no one knows it's not true. I forget what her exact words were, but it's unlikely the cops would take any future threats seriously.